Welcome to Real Estate AI Flash, the show where we cut through the noise and show you how real estate professionals are using AI to win. I'm Rajiv Sajja, and every week I talk with people who are actually doing the work and not just talking about it. Today's guest is Amit Bhuta from Miami, Florida with Compass. He's leveraging AI to scale his content, win listing appointments, and be the neighborhood expert. Let's get into it with Amit. Welcome to Real Estate AI Flash, another episode, another week, and I have Amit Bhuta from Miami, Florida with Compass joining me on the podcast today, and we'll get into all things AI about how Amit and his team are leveraging AI, and he leads a small team but does big things with production and luxury homes and all things in between. So Amit, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. A pleasure speaking with you today.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So I gave you an elevator pitch introduction, and you just told me that you've lived in Florida for 50 plus years, and you've obviously been very successful in real estate. So give the listening audience a little background about you and bring us to today.
Yeah, so I went to, as an Indian, I didn't do the typical Indian stuff, meaning engineer, doctor, so on and so forth. I did finance in college, and I know a lot of Indians do that, but I didn't know what I wanted to do really. And out of college, I saw a blind ad. This was I'm sort of old, so this was in 1980, actually 1992. Saw an ad. My friend saw the ad. It said college degree required, salespeople wanted, guaranteed salary of $500 a week for 8 weeks. So we figured we'd at least get $4,000. And we went to the interview and we found out it was to sell cars. We're like, man, we went to college to sell cars. And long story short, I did that 11 years. I was a sales manager, finance manager, salesman. And I got decent at it, And from there, I got burnt out. I was working 80 hours a week, got into real estate. And I thought I knew everything, thought I was the smartest guy in the world. And within like a couple of years, so that was in 2004, 2005 when we had the boom, real estate boom.
Yeah.
And pretty soon I realized I was the dumbest guy in the room. And took me a few years to realize how to do real estate. For me, one of the great things about real estate is people can be successful in many different ways. And for me, it was creating content. And it took me many years to figure that out. But once I figured that out, it helped a whole lot.
Yeah, and so 2004, so you're 20 years in real estate then, approximately, give or take, right?
Yeah, 21 years, yeah.
Yeah, and you're clearly, we'll put all the links to Amit's social platforms in the show notes, but you're clearly a content creator. I'm going to dig into that with all things you're doing with AI. What was your first light bulb moment with Gen AI in general, Amit?
Yeah, so there's this guy named Chris Smith. He was the founder of this company called Curator with Jimmy Mackin.
Yeah.
And so he had this thing, he has this separate thing for agents. And he introduced us to ChatGPT when it first came out. Chris has always been on top of like tech. And since I'm a content creator, I was like, hey, let me ask it to write some stuff. And so one of the articles was like, a lot of people move from California to Miami, and a lot of other places to Miami. And one of the things that I learned a long time ago is to be different, right? Everyone says all the great things about everywhere, but I figured, let me do an article on the 9 worst things about moving to Miami. So I had ChatGPT write it for me, and it was exceptional. And I learned quickly that if you talk to it a certain way, you'll be more successful with it.
Yeah, that's a very contrarian viral hook. 9 worst things to know about living in Miami. So, so you've obviously jumped on the AI train early with Chris's introduction, November 2022. Like we're like close to 3 years coming up now. It's crazy. What we've seen in the last 3 years, right? Just yesterday, fun fact. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the Google Gemini's release of Nano Banana. The way you edit it is bananas, in so many ways. And I did a little short video on it. So it's crazy stuff in terms of the evolution. So let's get into, obviously you're a content creator. You have a passion for creating content. And I can only imagine that AI has sort of amplified what you can do, personalize, and all the things that you've done. So let's get into content creation and all the things you're using AI for.
Yeah, so I'll get into like the real estate stuff a little bit later,
Yeah.
but this is how our team, thankfully, there's four of us. I'm the team lead or whatever. I hate to say I am because it's us, we, not me.
100%.
And so what we learned in real estate is every real estate agent has had transactions that should be super easy but are very difficult. You may have like a motivated buyer seller has to do a transaction, but the transaction is just very, very difficult. And there are some transactions that should be very difficult but are not that hard. And the reason for that is it's because you have stuff in common, right? So for me and my team, the team, we have different buckets of content we create. So one of the things is like I'm into mental health. Sadly, I've had 7 friends commit suicide, and I've lost 7 friends. So because of that, and my wife's brother was the U.S. Surgeon General a couple times, and so he was into mental health a lot. So we had that connection. So I post about that a lot. So that's one of my buckets. Then foodie, I love food, so that's another bucket. Family is another one. Obviously, Miami lifestyle, another one. And then the last one is just stuff I find interesting, like sports cards, NFTs, crypto, and all that stuff. So I have a bucket of different things. So AI is helping me for content creation for one of these things. I have a podcast. I use NotebookLM, and I don't
Yeah.
want to get in the weeds, but I use NotebookLM. I find an article every day because just organically we're looking at stuff on the news or whatever. So I'll pick within these buckets different articles. I'll put it on Notebook LM. I'll have a prompt that I'll share with it, and I'll be happy to. Everything I say, I'm happy to share with anyone. In real estate, people hire you because they like you, not because I know more than you. And so I have this prompt that I figured out. It's sort of like, I'll give you an example. Coldplay came to Miami, and
Yeah.
my family, we went to the concert. But prior to that, there were a lot of articles. And so people were interested in those articles. So instead of trying to have an ad, pay someone to put an ad about our team, I just created the article, had a prompt to mention us a little bit in a non-salesy way. And then people are reading our content. So with Notebook LM, we're able to, since last year, I have over 400 podcasts of different stuff that's, I always try and do real estate maybe 20 or 25% and the rest other stuff.
Yeah.
Because I always tell people that if you're my if you're my client and all I post about is real estate, the second you buy or sell a home, you're not interested in my stuff. But
Yeah.
if I post about other stuff, every once in a while you'll see that I'm in real estate. And that's one of the things for content creation. I don't want to go like crazy with it, but that's one of the things.
Yeah, for sure. I think your approach is so on point in terms of broadening your reach because you're more of a adding value in multiple buckets for people, and you connect with them, and they'll discover that you're in real estate, right? Sooner or later. So I'm a big fan of Notebook LM, by the way. So so I'm assuming you find articles, you curate the prompt, you have a rinse and repeat prompt that creates the audio overview and you publish that as a podcast, and that's where you got the 400 podcasts. Is that fair to say?
Totally. So yeah, I do that. I create the audio, and then I go to Podbean,
Yeah.
and then I put it on there. I create a thumbnail from ChatGPT, and then I put that together, and then it syndicates to like iTunes and all the other ones.
Yeah, for sure. Did you look into the video overview that just recently got released?
I did see that. I did see that. That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool, yeah. So it's given you the scale and how much effort, like producing a podcast. I'm in a podcast studio. We talk people live. This is obviously it's still a podcast, but it's obviously human interaction versus publishing content through what you're talking about. Um, Without AI, that would have been just mammoth effort, just not possible. So their AI has unlocked some doors that otherwise would just not have happened for you.
Totally. Just to give you an example, prior to that, in 2020, I believe, or maybe even before that, I created a podcast, like a channel, because I heard podcasts were a big deal. And I probably did maybe 50 or 80 over the last, 4 years. And then I'm like, forget this channel. Let me start this other channel. And now I have 400. So yeah, it's huge.
So, so content creation with podcasting is one approach with different buckets that you're creating content for. What are some real estate specific things you're doing with AI with you and your team?
Yeah, so good question. So I have two different things, buyers and sellers, right? So a buyer, so our team, we sell on average the price points, going to be 1 million plus, probably higher than that. Obviously, we sell less expensive stuff and we do rentals and all that. But when you have a client that is looking for a $5 million home, so give you an example, we're working with someone, the guy's in charge of a hedge fund. He's looking from New York, like a lot of these clients are, wants value, right? He doesn't want us to be a Zillow order taker, just, hey, call up. I saw this on Zillow, set up the appointment and, do that. That's not going to give a good, they're not going to see that we deserve a good commission for that, right? So instead, I use ChatGPT, and this is one of the uses, and I'll post the link to that property. So they're looking for a place called Coconut Grove in Miami now. So I'll put the link into Coconut Grove. First of all, AI obviously, as I've listened to your podcast and stuff, isn't isn't replacing us, but is just enhancing us, right? So in the beginning, I'm gonna get my own ideas about the property first. Then I'm gonna go into ChatGPT, put the link to the property that they sent me, and say, my client's interested in this property. Show me 5 things that aren't obvious to the buyer that are negatives about this property. And then it'll tell me some stuff, and I'll be like, I talk to it like like it's a person. I'll be like, dude, that sucks, man. Give me something that's a little bit better. These people are smart. And then it'll give me different things. And then I'll ask it to create this. I'll say, ChatGPT, I've been speaking to you for 4 years or 2 years, whatever it is. You know me, you know how I speak. Write this in my words, and
Yeah.
then make it sound like it's not AI. And so it won't be an AI detector, won't be able to figure this out. So different things like that. That's for buyers.
Yeah.
The seller one I have,
Go
I'll
ahead.
tell you later if you want me to.
No, no, go ahead. Go dig into it.
So one of the things about listing appointments, every agent says the same crap, and it drives me nuts. So one of the things that we do is, like, if I go on a listing appointment with you and I try and make it fun with you, interactive, and make it about you, not me, right? And I say, whether you hire me or not, it's okay. But let me ask you this. In the last 6 months or 3 months, how many people do you think in your neighborhood were doctors, lawyers? How many sales do you think there were? How many people do you think were from out of town, this, that, and the other? And I'll ask them, and I'll take them off. I'll make no pressure. I'll say, no one has ever got this right. So please tell me what you think. Then they'll tell me what they want. And I'll say, good good guess, but you're a little bit off. And then I'd ask them, do you think knowing who your buyers are for your home sale would be beneficial to you? And they're going to say, of course. I would say, even if we don't know the exact numbers, if we had an idea of like how that person thinks, maybe politically, maybe what their hobbies are, their football teams, everything about them, do you think that would be important? And they're like, of course. So on ChatGPT, I use it on ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok. I do it in all three. And I created a buyer persona by prompts. So I have this prompt, a very, very long prompt. I'll start reading a little bit, but I won't read the whole thing. I can share it if you want.
Yeah,
So it
send it
says,
over. We'll include it in the show notes, Amit. That'll be valuable.
okay, all right, cool. So yeah, so in the beginning, it's like, I'm a Miami real estate agent. I want a complete advanced marketing and buyer research package for a specific home I'm listing for sale. Here's the information, so on and so forth.
Yep.
And so from that, I'm able to get something pretty great that they've never seen. And before our meeting, I'll send them, hey, if you have time, check out this. I know I'm not hired by you, but I'm proactive and I don't mind spending 5, 6 hours creating information that may help you even if you don't hire me. And I send it to them. Whether they read it or not, we'll go over it a little bit. And I tell them before, I'll tell them, if you, I know you may not have time, but if you go over this, it'll save us a bunch of time when we meet. And instead of half an hour, we can make our appointment 10 minutes.
Yeah. So you're finding, obviously, you're crunching through a lot of data, leveraging AI to provide value going into a listing appointment that
Totally.
is non-traditional value, which is like just comps and stuff that people can get off of the MLS and things of that nature, right? So is it like a
Totally.
property, pre-marketing property type of report? Is it, what format do you send this in
So
typically?
I'll send it in a PDF and I'll say, like, these are the people most likely to buy your home. So one of the prompts in there
Yeah.
is to
Yeah.
share with me buyers who would buy this that you would be shocked to know about, and tell me 5 things about that buyer that people would think is the opposite.
Mm.
So I'm trying to intrigue them a bit and to get them to see stuff that, I'm not saying we do professional photos, photography, 3D. Everyone says the same stuff. An 8-year-old can do that, you know? So
Yeah.
I'm sharing them valuable information that'll, and then I have a video of some testimonials where we had expired listings and we got them. And I made it about the client rather than us. So
Yeah.
a quick example is, we had a property, it was on the market like a year, 6 months with someone else, a great agent, didn't sell it. We did our research. We found out a lot of people that were buying there were from the military. In that
Mm.
house, we saw a Christmas tree, and the Christmas tree was always there, but military personnel on there, on the, like the whatever, the round
Yeah.
bells or whatever, bulbs. And so we shared the video. We sold the property in 9 days. So just different things and leveraging that if we could.
Yeah. So I know Miami, you mentioned a lot about, people come from New York, hedge funds, et cetera. Is a good chunk of your business people buying in Miami that don't live in Florida?
You
Clients
know,
wise? Give me a sense of that.
it changes. So like in 2021, we had about 60% from California for our deals. So it's huge. But now, as people, and the main reason were, it was these people that were working remotely or people that had their COVID dream. But one of the stats, and this is one of the things that helps us quite a bit, is to know what's going on that others don't. And one of the stats is, like, in the past, people that sold their homes, usually that have lived there 5 years or less, were very small. Now it's a high number because a lot
Mm.
of people moved here, thought Miami was a certain way, or couldn't buy the house that they wanted and are moving. So now it's maybe, I would say maybe like 20%, 25% from
Mm.
outside
Outside.
Miami.
Yeah. And the reason I asked that question is to just double down on, do you leverage AI to market to the second home market or people that are moving there, maybe not for primary residence? Is there anything there that you're leveraging AI for to kind of get data on it?
Yeah, totally. So, and it's more content rather than
Yeah.
data,
Yeah.
because in our experience, and everyone is different, the storytelling and content does better than the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Because if I ask 5 real estate agents, how much does a good agent sell in a year, I'm going to get 5 different answers, right? So it doesn't really matter that much. And price per square foot, if they're single family homes and the neighborhoods are different, it's sort of hard to pick up on. So like what we do is we have something called Miami Neighborhood Guide. So the website, miamineighborhoodguide.com. And during COVID, I knew that real estate would slow down. And I thought, let me think of every single neighborhood in Miami that I can. Because when people come to Miami, they don't know Miami is Pinecrest where I live, or Coconut Grove, and all these other places. So we have about 70 different neighborhoods, and we
Mm.
do about 20 articles on each one, like date spots, Instagrammable places, so on and so forth. And we use AI to get a lot of the data from it, and then we create the stories from it as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're obviously doubling down on being the neighborhood expert, has legit content that you put out so people can find you, content creator, et cetera. So what is your tech stack of AI tools, Amit? I know you touched on ChatGPT, NotebookLM. Let's kind of dig into your, not the ones you test and stuff, but the tried and true things that you go to all the time. What's your tech stack like AI wise?
Yeah, so I have Gemini Ultra, I think that's what it's called. The
Yeah.
Grok, the best one. ChatGPT team. I tried the other one, but the team was better for me. Then I use Descript. It's a
Oh, yeah.
video editing tool and transcriber. Use that. I use NotebookLM. I use what I've learned too is like a lot of times you can use these main ones like ChatGPT, Gemini and stuff to do the stuff that other ones do if you use the right prompt, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's how that software is being made, right? They're
Yeah.
creating the prompt for it. So those are the basic ones. And I don't want to get into the weeds because like you said, some of them we test and we're
Yeah.
not using. And it's very confusing to people if they're just trying to start AI.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if you're listening to this podcast, to Amit's point, it's good to go deep with one large language model and explore all its capabilities instead of adding a second one that does something similar, right? But I love the fact that you're sort of leveraging Gemini, Grok, and ChatGPT in tandem sometimes because based on the training, it can come with a different output. And one of the outputs might be better on the other large language model with the same prompt, right? So that's a good takeaway right there. So anything else AI wise before we end the pod with a couple of questions I have for you?
Yeah, so real quick, just to give a little value to the listeners, what I learned from using Gemini, ChatGPT, and Grok is for like Photoshop, photo editing, like ChatGPT is better than the other ones. So the other day we had a tenant in a property and we wanted to, we took the photos, but there was stuff everywhere. So I took these photos and I put them in all three of these different LLMs or whatever, ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grok. And I said, Photoshop, get rid of all the clutter. And, obviously I spoke to it like I was speaking to a person. And ChatGPT was significantly better than the other ones for that.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you've tried the recent Nano Banana from Gemini. I've seen some excellent results as well. Like to your point, I mean, you got to, as we're recording this, by the time we release this episode, one of these three is going to do other things with image. So as of this recording in late August, take it for what it's worth, but a good takeaway there. So anything else that you want to add before I get to the final questions? We good?
The last thing I would say, and I won't make it so long, is a lot of people are scared to use AI, and they think they want to use it for their business, but they just don't want to start because they feel pressure. Instead, if you like Madonna or Taylor Swift or Drake or whoever you like, just use ChatGPT. Download ChatGPT. It's easy. It's like Apple, very easy to use. Start asking it questions. And when you talk to these things, talk to it like it's a person.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, just use voice. Talk to it like you're having a conversation with someone smarter than you that's friendly, that's not going to judge you. If you do that, you'll get great at this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, great advice there. It's timeless advice. And I've been telling agents, look, the goal is nobody's keeping up with AI. Okay, so don't feel FOMO because it's changing every day. But I think what you should feel FOMO about is being at the same place this time next year with your AI adoption. Just be on your journey, right? Like you didn't get here overnight, Amit. You've tried it, tested it, kind of built your own recipe, AI recipe, for lack of a better word. So those are great takeaways. So let me get to the final two questions I ask all my guests. You've been in real estate 20 odd years now. If you had to give one piece of advice to your younger self, if you were to start in real estate today, what would that be? It could be anything. It doesn't have to be AI related. It could be anything that you feel is going to be valuable for our listeners.
Yeah, so it'd be two things. First of all, pretend you're speaking to a family member or friend. As agents, we're taught so much by the brokers to tell how great we are, but we never ask about that person, right? If I'm speaking to a friend or family member, I'm not going to say, "Hey, Compass is the best because this, that, and the other." I'm going to say, "Hey, Dave, it's cool that you want to move. Why do you want to move there?" You
Yeah.
know, and ask if it's okay if I can take notes because I want to remember this because their relationship is value, and I know the importance that they're giving me. The next thing I would say is as agents, when we start or when we're not where we want to be, we fake it until we make it. That's not the right way. If we watch a movie, we're not always like rooting for the person that it wins all the awards. We're rooting for the underdog. It's like sports. When we watch a game that we don't know who's playing, we don't know either team, we usually do root for the underdog. So if you're a new agent, create some content that is valuable to the person. So I would say, if I'm doing content, I'd say I'm trying to live my dream. I want to be a real estate agent. I know nothing, and it would be cool if you guys watched me on my journey. And then like on a Saturday night at 10 p.m., I'll be like, I'm so excited about this. My friends asked me to do stuff, but instead I'm trying to figure out the days on market in Pinecrest or something, and just have that journey. And by doing that, you'll do better. Because keep in mind, when someone is looking to buy or sell a place, they've probably been doing this for 3 years, right? They've been saving money to buy a house. They've been thinking about all of this. And we're taught from our brokers to make them feel guilty if they don't work with someone that knows nothing. That's so ridiculous. But if
Yeah.
we show them that we're working hard on trying to get better, they're going to root for us and they're going to hire us and they're going to give us a chance.
Yeah, 100%. Great advice. Great advice. Other people centric and be authentic in your journey, and people will come to you. So that's great advice. So last question: are you a book or a podcast person, Amit?
Uh, so podcast or Audible?
Audible, yeah. Okay, I put Audible in the same category as books, depending on. I mean, I just want to. Is there a go-to podcast or a Audible book you've heard, read that has been very instrumental in shaping you more than others?
Yeah, so anything Chris Smith related helps
Yeah.
me. So he has a few books, and Gary Vee as well. Gary Vee, he's
Yeah.
probably way more responsible for my success. So real estate related, there's a book by Chris Smith and a few others, Exactly What to Say in Real Estate. It
Mm.
makes it consumer focused and it's objection handling. And then Gary Vee just always being kind and if you can and give, don't ask.
Yeah. Great advice. Great advice. Amit, this has been fun. I know we can continue the chatter and keep going deep and shoot the breeze on AI tools, but I appreciate you jumping on, and hopefully I'll bump into you sometime in real life soon.
Thanks so much. It would be great.